Brandon Roy really was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of player. Unfortunately, Brandon was also one of those what-if players. He was a phenomenal all-around basketball player, but his career got cut short due to injuries. Luckily, though, we've got a ridiculous amount of highlight plays and moments from him to lose our minds over. And we're going to start off with the time that Roy dropped a whopping 52 points, his career high, on the Phoenix Suns. That's right, Roy wasn't missing anything during this game, and he scored the basketball in a multitude of different ways. Just take a look at some of these.
And Roy's first foul shot is perfect. Roy against Barnes. Single coverage near side. Brandon squares up. Roy takes the jumper over Barnes. Streaking in on Nash, and he lays it in. To Roy by himself. Brandon dunks it. By O'Neal. To Brisbilla back to Roy. Roy, left baseline, lean and shot. Got another one. 52 points in 44 minutes.
I can't even fathom what it must have felt like to be on Phoenix in this game. It had to have felt like nothing they were doing was working to stop him, and that frustration must have been real over there that night. Roy also frustrated the Dallas Mavericks this time around with his ridiculous craftiness when the ball was in his hands. He started this off with a beautiful handle to get himself down to the rim in a heated playoff series where every possession matters. Instead of taking the acrobatic layup like I think everybody on Dallas was expecting, he did this.
Portland has the last 4 points since the timeout. They look to make it 6 straight, and they do. Roy with the drive and find. Marcus Camby the plus.
That little smooth wraparound pass that went right under the arms of his defender was incredible to watch. The man made up his mind, then changed it right as he got to the cup, and it still resulted in 2 points for his team. Just goes to show he wasn't just a great scorer, his playmaking skills were up there too. And so was his athleticism. This is one of those patented alley-oops that comes straight from an inbound pass. The Golden State Warriors quite literally didn't see this one coming. The guy standing in front of the ball on the sidelines was barely even looking that direction when play started, and look at how that worked out for the Warriors.
Steve Blake back in, and they lob to Roy, and he jams it down.
4 Warriors were just standing around looking at the ball soar over their heads as Roy comes flying in out of nowhere to throw it down with one hand to get the entire arena on their feet. I mean, come on, Golden State, you know you can't let a guy like Roy run around without anybody paying attention to where he's going. But Roy just finds a way to get open sometimes. For example, take a look at this game-winning shot against the Houston Rockets as the clock wound down with the Portland Trailblazers down by 1 point.
8 seconds, Roy gonna go on Ariza. Brandon for the lead, scoop shot, yeah!
I mean, everybody knew the ball was going to Roy. What they didn't expect was him to maneuver his way to the rim and take contact as he threw up a layup. Contact that would send him falling onto the ground as he threw up an off-balance shot to win the game. I don't even know how the guy freed up that much space and got himself to the rim in just a matter of seconds, too. He even had 5 seconds to spare. The man moved around like a blur back then. No wonder he was a monster on the court. All right, let's flip back into a legendary moment from Roy. This was the game that Roy and the Blazers duked it out with Carmelo Anthony and the Denver Nuggets on Christmas Day. It was another one of those days where the Nuggets gave everything they had, but Roy was just hitting every shot he took. Take a look at some of the highlights from this game.
At the Rose Garden, and what a season it's been so far. Twists and turns. The 19-12 Trailblazers take on the 20-9 Denver Nuggets. For 3, and he drops it down.
Billups.
Brandon, foul line, fades and hits. Picked up by Smith. Roy then takes it away. Baseline around Anderson. Missed it, but followed it in. Aldridge trying to give a pick. Roy steps through. Here's a long 2 by Brandon. Off the lead. Blazers a very good free throw shooting team. Roy, Miller, baseline. Brandon, tough fadeaway, but we see him hit that. And now watch Anderson. Bayless quick jumps in. Packs it inside.
They're scoring.
Roy splits the double, takes it, and Anderson and scores.
They were worried about checking Bayless. Bayless found Roy in that.
Brandon, another 3. Got it again.
Why do you want it out of his hands when you got them?
Roy ended up with 41 points on the night here in a huge Christmas Day win over Melo and the Nuggets. It's incredibly surprising that Denver continuously opted to leave Roy wide open late in the game to try and shut down the Blazer offense. They must not have been paying attention to the dominating performance he'd had so far in that game. Now, the Dallas Mavericks definitely witnessed the dominance in this Game 4 matchup. The Blazers were down 2-1 in the series and were quickly falling behind by a lot against Dirk and company. Dallas was up by 23 points at one point, but Roy knew that falling behind 3-1 would spell disaster, so he went on to do this the rest of the game.
And they get a stop and get out and go. It's tough to get out and go when you're trying to run off of makes. Dirk! Here's Roy. It's a 2, and it's good. Sean Marion here in game 4. Brandon Roy! Brandon Roy, the 3!
Roy just took full control of the game, and he was firing shots away at will. Dallas didn't even know what was going on. All they knew was that this man could not miss. In the blink of an eye, Dallas went from thinking they're about to go up 3-1 to getting the series tied at 2 with all the momentum shifting over to Portland. It seems like gaining momentum for his squad was kind of a specialty. Here against the Nuggets, Roy made sure to make the most of this final second shot at the end of the third quarter. He flew up the court and did this with the ball.
Number 4, same game, this time it's different players. Brandon Roy with time winding down to the third. Off the glass, he goes.
Early in this NBA season, he's getting his opportunities, making the most. Roy goes inside and posterizes. Check some.
But maybe not as cold as the handles he displayed against the Toronto Raptors here. Roy acted like he was simply doing a practice drill around traffic cones because he cruised right around multiple defenders.
Has Parker one-on-one as Toronto stays in that zone. Crosses over through the middle, switches to his left.
Can you even believe that? Brandon had about 3 people staring at him when this play started because they're all hesitant to leave their teammate alone with him. In just a few seconds though, he quickly broke a few of them off and slipped past another to get right to the rim. I'm telling you guys, this next play was something else. Roy and the Blazers were battling the Utah Jazz. It just felt like one of those nights where nothing was really going their way. But that's until Roy just let something fly, and it paid off in a big way.
Watching Roy. And Okur got in there with some double team defense, and
He initially got blocked on his jumper, but he didn't give up. He quickly jumped up, caught it, and then flipped it up awkwardly before hitting the ground again. Everybody watching couldn't believe how lucky the shot looked, but he just casually jogged back on defense like it wasn't even a big deal. Though I will say there was one Utah defender who wasn't happy at all. And Roy was one of the best at his position at that, so of course he was always ready to just jump straight into the action. Check out this play that he wasn't even a part of at first before he did get involved.
Tried to reverse it. Roy, he picks it up and puts it down over David Lee. Well, if the crowd was getting nappy, that should have woken them.